Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to Pick and Day number 31, the finale of my 31 favorite album blind buys of all time. That's right, these albums that we bought because we saw an album cover. It looked really cool. We weren't sure if we even knew who the band or artist was. In many cases, maybe we had no clue who they were. Maybe we had heard of them, but we did not know their music. And we decided to take a chance and we brought it home. And lo and behold, the results were extremely positive, and maybe you had a favorite band or artist going forward and you would go and collect and listen to their albums from that moment on, right? That is totally the case today. So this is a band that I had never heard of before. They were a fairly newish band, certainly unknown here in the States. I happened to see an import of this album in Rock and Roll Heaven North. You've heard me talk about that little record store in Warwick, New York that was here for about a year and a half, if that. This is before Rock Fantasy opened up, right? The Zazulas opened up this little satellite shop here in the Hudson Valley to kind of complement their very popular little store in New Jersey. So I happened to be in there one day and saw this very cool album with this interesting kind of sort of... maybe it's not a mechanical bird, but it's a bird wearing armor with a planet behind it. And the name of the band kind of intrigued me. I was like, okay, whatever. This album was released February 24th, 1984, recorded at Polar Studios in Stockholm, Sweden, produced by Leif Massis for Hot Records. Talking about Wings of Tomorrow by Europe. Second album from the band. Never heard of them before. This is obviously before the Final Countdown, right? This is the album that kind of got them to that. A pretty terrific album. And I remember thinking, yeah, you know what? I'm going to bring this home, take a shot on it, right? They talked about it at the store. They were like, yeah, that's supposedly really good. It's like, okay, cool. This, of course, contains the lineup of Joey Tempest on vocals, keyboards and acoustic guitar. John Norum, the great John Norum on guitars, backing vocals. John Levin on bass guitar, and Tony Reno on drums. This is before, of course, they would hire a full-time keyboard player because they would get a little bit more keyboardy going forward after this. Last album without Mick McKaylee, however he says his name. But yeah, this is an amazing record. So what do you call this? I mean, it's like a Euro power metal album, sort of, right? Heavy on the guitar histrionics and soaring vocals, right? Killer tracks on here. I remember the first time I plopped this down on the turntable, I was thinking, man, Stormwind, the opening track, what a great song. And I was instantly thinking of like Deep Purple and, at the time, Alcatraz. Oh, was Alcatraz even like a thing yet? I think we were very early in the Alcatraz, I think, came out in fall of 83, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to get my dates correct. So I think I was reminded of that because, John Norum from Sweden had a little bit of an Yngwie thing going on there, sort of, mixed with a little Gary Moore and some other stuff. But definitely heard some classic Rainbow on here as well. But again, it would have more of that kind of Euro power metal style. Scream of Anger, blistering track. Great guitar work on that. Then you got the soaring vocal, Open Your Heart. Such a great, that's still, I still think to this day that Open Your Heart should have been like a big hit single in this country. I know they redid it again on a later album. And it seems like one of those songs that tailor-made for a great video and airplay, and just didn't quite happen that way. Treated Bad Again, pretty cool hard rocker. And then, of course, the blistering John Norum instrumental Aphasia, which is really good. Over on side 2, you got the killer title track, Wings of Tomorrow. One of my favorites on the album for sure. Wasted Time, another driving hard rocker there. You got Lion Eyes, Dreamer, another great kind of ballady track with an amazing vocal from Joey Tempest. Again, hit potential all over that. Dreamer's so good. And then the Rockin' Dance the Night Away, another great track. Mostly 3 and 4 minute long songs. Nothing overstays its bounds. It's not a long album at all. Just full of ripping guitar work and great songs, great vocals, tight and concise, just what you need. I fell in love with this immediately. And then I went out and I tracked down the first album, which is even a little even more like neoclassical power metal than this. And then, but you can kind of, if you go from the first album to this, and then you can see where the Final Countdown, that kind of trajectory was kind of working because the songs are already here. That album just, more keyboardy and more geared towards like mainstream kind of kind of taste and whatnot. But then, they would dabble again in kind of like the glam metal stuff for a couple of years, that party anthemic metal, and then of course they would go away for a number of years. They would come back to more serious sounds, kind of going back to maybe a little bit of the mentality here, but more of like classic 70s heavy rock stuff, like them, and more serious tone. Think like, again, like Purple and Rainbow and Led Zeppelin and Sabbath and that sort of thing. So again, I've said this on the channel a million times when it comes to this band. If you haven't listened to Europe's last bunch of albums, they're really great. They don't sound anything like Carrier, The Final Countdown. For those of you who don't like that stuff, really, really good stuff. And I believe they have a new one coming out hopefully next year. They've been working on it for a while, so I'm really looking forward to that, because it's been a while since, War of Kings and, those couple albums, right? It seems like it's been forever since we've had a new Europe record. So, that's my blind buy pick for today, the finale. Let us know what you think of Wings of Tomorrow. And look at that album cover, so cool. Yeah, I saw that. That looked like something totally right up my alley. Love the logo too. It's well done. And let us know what you think of that, as well as your pick for today. And tomorrow we change gears, right? Tomorrow we're going to start talking about those cover songs that we love a lot, right? So those cover versions of an old, maybe classic or maybe an obscure song. And in many cases that's the case, where the original is kind of obscure, and then the cover is killer and maybe becomes the kind of default version of that particular track. So that's what we're going to be tackling all month long, my favorite cover songs. I'll be talking about the original a little bit, talking about the actual cover that I love, and we'll get into it, right? So that's starting tomorrow morning for day number 1. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all the damn time. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's trick-or-treat day, and sadly we don't get any trick-or-treaters here at the house. I've always been bummed about that. It's like we moved here in 2009. We had like 1 or 2 trick-or-treaters that year, only because they were the neighbors, right? Because their kids were young at the time. And since then, have not had a one. Nobody trick-or-treats around here. It's like what they do is the people who do have kids who would do it, they take them to a development, or they take them to this trunk-or-treat thing, and nobody goes house to house anymore. It just doesn't happen. And I get it. We live on a kind of like out in the woods on a kind of main road with no sidewalk or anything like that, so I get it. But there's plenty of kids around here that just don't go house to house. Back in the day, we did it regardless. We put on our costumes and, man, we scoured that whole neighborhood. Didn't matter if cars were on the road or not. We were out there. It's like it doesn't quite happen that way anymore, I guess. So anyway, thanks for watching. I am Pete Pardo. Tune in this weekend, or in a little bit, actually. We got Rick Labonte and myself doing a little bit of live album love. We're going to be talking about albums that begin with bands and artists that begin with the letters E and F. Some of our favorite live albums from them. That's coming up in just a little while. We also have the Professor's Picks later today. And tomorrow is, of course, the UK Connection. So we will be revisiting 2015. We're taking a look at the 10 albums that we put as our top 10 releases of the year. How much do we agree with that here 10 years later, right? So which ones will we move out? Which ones did we forget to put in? That's what we're going to get to. And then Sunday, we've got Ranking the Albums of Heat, myself along with Stephen Reed and Rich Catino, the great Swedish AOR melodic rock band Heat. We're going to be ranking those albums on Sunday, so stay tuned for that and more. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Also, you'll get another episode of Talking Jazz. Mike Antonelli and I are going to be talking about our top 10 albums featuring the great John Scofield, either his solo albums or him as a collaborator or sideman. We're putting it all together. We're giving you our top 10s. So for those of you who love John Scofield, make sure you tune into that and more. I also should have a listening room episode for you, as well as a solo Monsters Den episode. I'll be going through some of the horror films I've been watching this Halloween season, so stay tuned for that. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.